It will make your hearts beat faster. It may even make you want to die. Do not be afraid. You will witness a miracle.
Welcome back to the Nerdy Grail, and today I've got another movie review for you today. Now, it's not a brand new movie that's just come out in the cinema. In fact, this movie's been out for a couple of months and is already out on physical media. I'm, of course, talking, if you've seen the thumbnail, if you've seen the opening clip, I'm obviously talking about Hugh Grant in the movie Heretic, which came out on November 1st, 2024, here in the UK. Now, me and my fiancée, we wanted to go watch this in the cinema, but we just never got round to it, and we had plenty of other films we were watching. So when it came out on physical media, I instantly snapped it up and said, we've got to sit down and we've got to watch this. I not only have the regular Blu-ray, but also earlier this week, it did actually get a Steelbook release, so I also picked up the Steelbook version of Heretic as well, because I did really enjoy the movie, and it's got such a small cast, which, you know, to a degree, is a good thing, because then you get better character development and it can really make those characters shine. But also it could be a negative, because then you don't have a wider range of characters to think about. But also if those characters are then dull or boring, you're stuck with only a couple of really annoying characters. But I think this film does it pretty decently. It was a little bit unexpected. The movie wasn't exactly as I thought it was going to be. The trailers made it out to be something a little bit different than it actually was. But I think overall, it did keep me engaged from start to finish, and it did keep me quite gripped. So, how am I going to do this? I'm just going to break it down into a couple of small little points. We're going to talk about the plot briefly. We're going to talk about the characters, and I'm going to go over the positives and the negatives. So sit back, relax, while I review the movie Heretic. Right, so first off, this movie here in the UK came out on November 1st, 2024, and stars Hugh Grant in the lead role. Now, there is only about 3 core members of cast in this entire movie. There is 1 or 2 other characters who do like cameo in like one scene or whatever, but there is predominantly just 3 members of the core cast. So firstly, you've got obviously Hugh Grant, who's playing our antagonist, Mr. Reeds. And then you've got 2 female leads as well, played by Sophie East, who's playing a character called Sister Paxton, and Sophie Thatcher, who's playing a character called Sister Barnes. This is produced by Stacey Sher, Scott Beck, Brian Woods and Julia Gauci, and was directed also by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, and was also written by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. So you know they had their hands in every single aspect of this movie, and it shines through. You can tell their creativity shined through. What they wanted to get out there was there in the movie, and it was really, really good. And I agree with the wording on top of this Blu-ray. Hugh Grant has never been so good. If you see my thumbnail, it's unbelievable how good of a villain Hugh Grant actually is in this. But I will go into that a bit more when I talk about the characters. So this had a fairly small stroke biggish budget of around $10 million. And the basic premise of this movie is fairly interesting. The trailers did make it out to be something a little bit more different, but the basic premise is a very religious movie. I mean, if the title doesn't give that away, then yeah, it's a highly religious movie. So it can turn some people off, because if you're not really into all the religious stuff and all the religious faiths and truths, then it might turn you off a little bit. But if I'm being honest, I quite liked it, and I thought it was really interesting. So it focuses on the Mormon religion. So the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the core focus of this particular movie. And you've got these 2 Mormon missionaries, obviously our sisters, Sister Paxton and Sister Barnes, who are out on their journey. And they come across this creepy old house, which they stumble across Mr. Reeds, played by Hugh Grant, And they obviously try to talk to him about their religion and see if he's interested. He invites them inside, only for them to basically not be let out again. He sort of tricks them, coaxes them in, and then starts to test their faith. So his whole game is he traps these people and then tests their faith. Do they actually believe in what they believe? And how strong is their faith? And can he turn them to not believe or to change their beliefs? So it's really, really interesting. And there's some angles where the stuff he says, you're kind of like, okay, I get where you're coming from, but obviously you're really supposed to feel for these two girls, and they do a fantastic job. Like I said, it is thrilling from start to finish, if I'm perfectly honest. I really enjoyed Heretic, and I think it's down to the characters. Hugh Grant's character is Mr. Reeves. He starts off with this quite charming, bubbly character, but you can tell there's something a little bit off about him. Just his demeanour, you know, he's making excuses for things. Like one of the things is the sisters say that they need to have another lady present in the room when they're discussing things. He constantly says he'll go get his wife, who's making food and drinks in the kitchen. He constantly goes to check for her, comes back, says she'll be along in a minute. She never arrives. So you can tell there's something wrong. When the girls eventually try to leave, the doors will not open. They eventually find Mr. Reeds further into the house because they have no choice but to venture further deeper. And he says that the house won't open, so they got to go through the back door, which makes no sense. But there's basically these little games sprinkled all throughout, and it is really, really intense. I really, really do enjoy this movie. I think it is, yeah, as it says, devilishly entertaining, creepy. The music, there's not many different locations in this as well, because this obviously takes place completely inside Mr. Reeves' house. So you've got like his main living room, you've got this like library area, then you've got this creepy dungeon area where they go down these long stairs after going through a door. There was 2 doors on it, and they had to choose the right door, which one they thought was going to lead them to freedom. And it takes them down into this like dungeon looking area where there's this creepy person at a table, and Mr. Reeds is trying to perform a miracle on them, trying to show them whether miracles are real or not. And it does get really creepy. Then there's like this extra basement area, and then you see bits and pieces of outside. There is a person who is actually looking for the sisters, who you see in 1 or 2 scenes, but he never actually ends up finding them. He was kind of pointless, really, a bit of a throwaway character, if I'm being perfectly honest, because he turns up at the house and then vanishes, and then you never see him again. I mean, spoilers as well, whether you want to know whether the 2 girls, the 2 sisters actually survive. One of them does, unfortunately, not make it out. The other does escape. But they sort of leave it as to, but she is injured. But they leave it like up in the air as to whether she actually survives those injuries or not. They cut away before you actually get to see whether she dies of those wounds or not. So who knows? I like to think that she did survive, because especially the way they make this film out, I really hope that she did make it out. And I'm just saying that the sister out of the 2 that I wanted to survive did survive, so I'm kind of glad of that. But yeah, they are really, really, really good characters. Speaking of the characters, I think it is worth also talking about the positives and the negatives. So I would say personally, one of the major positives of this movie is the characters. I think the 3 characters of Sister Barnes, Sister Paxson and Mr. Reeds carry this film through and through. They were all thoroughly entertaining. Mr. Reeds is creepy. He's sneaky, he's manipulative, he's got a bubbly personality that tricks people, leads them into a false sense of security, and then boom, he's got them trapped, he's got them under his thumb, and they're going to do his bidding. And then you've got the 2 sisters, one being really naive, and the other one a little bit more switched on, but you can tell that their faith is really being tested. One breaks a lot quicker than the other, so that is really, really good. And they are very sweet characters as well. You really sympathise with them and you want them to get out of there. And that's what you want in a film like this. You just hope and pray that they are going to get out. Pray being quite an optimum word here in a film that focuses heavily on religion. But yeah, Mr. Reeds as a villain, like I said, really, really good. He does get his comeuppance at the end because both him and one of the sisters. I keep forgetting which one now did actually bite the dust in the end, but they sort of both die at the same time. So Mr. Reeds does end up getting killed because he gets mortally wounded as well. So he does get his comeuppance in the end, but I don't think it was done in a very satisfying way, which would be a little bit of a nitpick and a negative for me. I would say also another positive is the atmosphere and the subtle use of music in this film as well. Done really, really well. Gets the point across really, really well. Very, very eerie, very, very creepy. I like all the imagery that we get in there, all the different theories, the interesting discussions on religion and how our faith can be changed, how our beliefs can change, how we can be led to believe one thing when really there's multiple paths that you could take and multiple ways you could interpret a piece of information. I think they do it in a really, really good way. It's a very educational horror movie, if I'm being honest, which I don't mind. I think it was done pretty, pretty well. But if I was to maybe give a potential negative for the movie, I will say it's very slow-paced. Before most of the action kicks off, there's a very, very long conversation between Mr. Reeds and the two sisters in the living room. I think it lasts maybe about 15 minutes. And it's just back and forth asking questions and talking about beliefs and talking about things they like, don't like, how they came to be in that place, how they came to pick that religion. You know, it's interesting stuff, but I remember thinking to myself, oh, can't we just get to this cat and mouse chase now? I want to see the stuff that I saw in the trailer, you know, the different crazy Saw-like games. Well, they weren't Saw-like, but, you know, being trapped in a claustrophobic area and having to fight your way out, that sort of thing. I wanted to see all that. It got a bit too chatty for me at times, and it started to make me switch off. I never fully switched off, because I don't want to contradict myself. I never fully switched off, but it did drag a little bit, and my fiance thought the same. So I think there was times where it was a little bit too talky and less showy. It should have showed more than it was just explaining. And I also thought there was a couple of times where it just got a bit confusing at times and didn't really make much sense. And like I said, some of the characters, the core three done right, but then you had extra characters like the guy who would come searching for the sisters. He was pointless. You could have wrote him out the movie completely. Didn't need to be in there. So I thought, write him out, and it would have been fine because he took up a couple of scenes that you could have had elsewhere. But yeah, I overall liked Heretic. I know that the reception on it has been mixed. I know some people have also really liked it, and some people have thought the same as me, as it wasn't entirely as they expected it to be. But overall, I think the performances speak for themselves. Would I recommend watching Heretic? Yeah, I definitely think you should give it a go if you haven't already. Just to see, just give it a shot. It might not necessarily be the film for you, but I think it is definitely worth it, especially for Hugh Grant alone. He does a fantastic job. So what would I give Heretic? Out of 10, I would probably give it a 6 or a 7. I would say it was good. It was a movie that I probably will rewatch in the future, but it was nothing spectacular or blow me away. So yeah, give it a 6 or a 7. So that is going to be my little review on Hugh Grant's Heretic. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please like it by giving it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts on Heretic. Have you seen it? Will you see it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And subscribe if you are new. But for now, this is the Nerdy Grail signing off. I hope you've had an amazing day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now, everybody.